Today, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious vegan chocolate cake with a vegan cream cheese frosting that doesn't taste vegan. I would like to start my workshop with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and humbly recognize that we are living and working on Turtle Island in Takaronto, the traditional, current, unceded territories of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Seneca, and Ojibwe Mississaugas of the Credit River First Nations. Here's a little background info about myself. I'm a 27-year-old non-binary Afro-Indigenous multidisciplinary artist, baker, entrepreneur, and psychology student. I run a baking catering business called Pig Out Pastries. I am also part of the Weavin' Men Collective, a mixed Indigenous group based out of Takaronto that focuses on the resurgence of traditional Indigenous practices for the queer, two-spirit, Black, and Indigenous people of color residing on Turtle Island. Let's begin. First, you will need a rubber spatulas, a whisk, and a hand mixer or stand-up mixer with the paddle attachments. The dry ingredients include 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 3/4 a cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 a cup of vegan cocoa powder. In the small bowl, I added 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1½ teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. For the wet ingredients, you will need 1 cup of unsweetened vegan milk. I used a pea beverage called Ripple, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1/2 a cup of canola or melted coconut oil, 2/3 a cup of unsweetened apple sauce, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of hot coffee. Ingredients for the vegan cream cheese frosting include 224 grams or 1 package of vegan cream cheese. I used a vegan and soy-free brand called Daya. 1/2 a cup of vegan butter or margarine. 3 1/4 cup of sifted powdered sugar. 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. Before we begin, be sure to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The first step is to make a vegan buttermilk substitute. For this, just add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to your choice of vegan milk and mix. You will notice that the milk will begin to coagulate or get chunky. That is the texture we are looking for. Set this aside for 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, we are going to prepare and grease the pans. I usually just spray the pan with an oil and line the bottom with a parchment paper. This allows for cakes to easily pop out after baking. Now we are going to whisk the dry ingredients. Add the baking soda, baking powder, and salt into the flour. Whisk until well distributed. Now whisk the cocoa powder until combined and set aside. For the next step, we are going to combine the wet ingredients. Whisk the oil and vanilla into the applesauce until combined. Now it's time to add the vegan buttermilk to the applesauce mix. Once that is done, pour the wet mixture into the sugar and whisk until smooth. Always be sure to scrape the bowls with the rubber spatula, that way nothing is wasted. Now we can gradually add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. Whisk until it's nice and smooth. You may notice my mixture is a bit lumpy. That is because I forgot to sift the cocoa powder before adding it to the flour. Once this is well combined, we will slowly pour in the hot coffee to the batter. The batter will seem runny, but that is how it's supposed to look. Now that the cake batter is all mixed, we can pour it into the cake pans. You can either use 2 9-inch round pans, or in my case, I use 3 6-inch round cake pans. Bake the cakes for 30 to 40 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I always place the pans on a tray for easier mobility and also to allow the cakes to bake evenly at the base. There are a few tricks to test if the cakes are baked. You can do the common method of poking the top middle of the cake with a toothpick until it comes out clean. Or you can gently tap the top of the cake with your finger. If the cake springs back into the original shape, then the cake is done. While the cake's cool, let's get started on the vegan cream cheese frosting. First, we're going to mix the vegan cream cheese and vegan butter until smooth. Then slowly add the powdered sugar, 1 cup at a time. Before you add the last bit of powdered sugar, pour in the vanilla and lemon juice. Now that this is done, we can set it aside in the fridge to cool down and harden up. Once the cakes are completely cooled, you can decorate them however you would like. I ended up melting some vegan chocolate and drizzling it along the edge. I topped it with some vegan whipped cream as a finishing touch. All that is left to do is to enjoy this rich and moist vegan cake. Apocalyptic Art hosts sessions every week till July 7th on Thursdays at 5 p.m. If you have any questions, you can contact Sketch on Facebook, Instagram, their website at sketch.ca, or send an email to info@sketch.ca. Thank you again.